Hello, world. Welcome to the Erin Marvin Show. This is episode 8. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcasting journey through the internet. My friend Jackie Snacky the other day told me that I have the unpodcast. And I kind of like that term because really, if you are a fan of the show, you know this. This is the unpodcast. That definition is open to interpretation, but I would basically just say this is a podcast about nothing. Well, not exactly nothing. I do talk about certain things, but there's really no rhyme or reason to it. And, I think that's a good metaphor for life. There's just doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to anything unless you give it a meaning. So we're just figuring it out as we go, as always, and I am very grateful that everybody is here on the journey with me. We are in the middle of a snowstorm here in Minnesota. The snow just began falling about an hour ago, and they are saying this might be one of the top 5 snowfalls in Twin Cities history, so that remains to be seen, but we will check it out, and when the snow stops, we will see, do we have a record-setting snowstorm performance? On the show today, I want to talk a little bit about sports. I think I got away from talking about sports the last couple episodes, but I do want to touch on maybe a little bit about the Super Bowl. The XFL season has begun, so football fans, don't worry. There is still football being played for you to watch. One of my favorites, new favorite sports, NASCAR season has begun. And for all my wrestling fans out there, we are on the road to WrestleMania. So there is a lot of excitement going on in the sports world these days. Also touch on what I've been listening to, what I've been watching. And the first thing I want to get to is my recent trip to New Orleans. I was lucky enough to get to go to New Orleans on a work trip. And I really enjoyed it. New Orleans is a great city. I had a great time. The people seemed really nice. Big touristy town, but when a town is very touristy, that's because there's something there that people want to see. And New Orleans, if you're a big history buff like I am, is a great place for that. If you like old school architecture, it's a great place for that. If you like food, it is a phenomenal place for that. A lot of seafood in New Orleans. I had some oysters, some shrimp, some alligator. Had some beignets, bagnets. It's a pastry that you get at a place called Café du Monde. I'm sure other places make it, but it's basically like a fritter type of deal that they sprinkle a bunch of powdered sugar on. Is a very tasty delicacy. You can get a coffee with it and enjoy just a coffee and a nice warm pastry doused in powdered sugar. I'm not the biggest seafood guy, but as I get older, I realize that I need to try new things. I need to step outside of my comfort zone, and one of those things that I am a bit uncomfortable with is seafood. Shrimp is probably my favorite seafood, even though it's one of the more disgusting seafoods, I would say. Picture a little shrimp swimming through the water. And we catch them and we eat them. But it was very good. I had probably the best shrimp that I've ever had in my life there. I had a Creole shrimp pasta, which was very delicious. Oysters are a big thing. People love to eat oysters down there as an appetizer. You can get like a dozen oysters, whichever way you want. You can get them raw. You can get them charbroiled. And basically what you do is the oyster comes in a little shell that it lives in. And then you kind of have to disconnect it from its shell by using like a knife or a spoon or a other utensil. And if you have a raw oyster, you can sprinkle some lemon juice on it and slide it down into your throat. And they're actually pretty good, but I will say I think oysters are a little bit overpriced for what you get. That's neither here nor there. Personally, if you're sharing them with the table, great. But I'm I'm definitely not the kind of guy who's gonna order a dozen oysters to myself and just dummy them like a pelican or something like that. Bourbon Street, went down there a couple times. Very interesting place to check out. The big Mardi Gras celebration was getting underway, so these beads I'm wearing, you might have noticed I'm wearing some jewelry for the episode today. These are authentic Bourbon Street Mardi Gras beads that I'm wearing that were thrown down to me off a balcony by probably a fine gentleman who was throwing them out to people just for fun. Then we went down to Frenchman Street, which is a very interesting place. It seemed like a place that you go to get away kind of from the Bourbon Street noise. And they had a lot of good jazz music playing. It seemed very cool. We went to a place called the Spotted Cat for some jazz music, which was great. And then we left and we were going to walk back to the hotel. And it was like 2 miles back to the hotel. But we were about a half a mile in and it's just started pouring. Raining cats and dogs when we left the Spotted Cat. And we were already basically instantly soaked. So we thought, hey, let's just keep going. Let's just live in the moment and enjoy this experience. And that was a great memory. So for all my buddies that were there, Jake has provided this video that he got of us when we were running home in the rain. So thank you, Jake, for that. This was a great memory for me. And I had a great time just running around in the rain and the thunder and lightning, just living life. And it was great. What else did we do? Disc golf. We went disc golfing. Disc golfing is a very fun New Orleans activity. A lot of people like to disc golf down there, I think, because there was a disc golf course. Played about 20 holes. Brought my camcorder out. Saw a pelican. Saw some other stuff there. My buddy Kelly, he was out shooting some stuff, and I want to plug his YouTube channel, Fox and Adventures. He's been making some content. He's been grinding it out on the YouTube Shorts game. So if anybody wants to check out some of the places that we went to eat when we were in New Orleans, you can check out his YouTube channel. He's got some shorts. He's very, very talented with editing those down and kind of giving you a taste of different things that we experienced down there. But yeah, all in all, New Orleans was great. I hope that I'll be back someday. I had a blast taking in the sights, the sounds, the culture, the food, and yeah, I just really enjoyed my time there. My phone on my camera has been broken, so my camera on my phone has been broken, so I didn't get a lot of pictures, but had a great time just living in the moment, enjoying life, and yeah, it was great. One thing that I did do that I've never done before, this has nothing to do with New Orleans, but while I was there at the hotel getting ready one night, had my toiletry bag with my toothbrush, my toothpaste, everything set out, and I was getting ready, and I knocked a bottle of cologne off the counter onto the floor, and it smashed into pieces and let out a giant plume of all the rest of the cologne that was in the bottle, and that made quite a stink. That was after the night that we were running around in the rain, so on top of my room smelling like wet clothes and wet shoes, it also reeked like cologne. So I apologize to whoever had my hotel room after me, because I'm sure it did not smell the best, and I'm very sorry. I take all credit for it. I do not believe that they charged me anything for that, but it was very, very pungent, very strong odor. So that's kind of wraps up my New Orleans. If anybody has some fun experiences that they've had in New Orleans, things to check out, drop it in the comments. Let me know. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It definitely is on my list of favorite American cities. I've not left the country yet, so I don't know what any other cities are like. But as far as the United States goes, New Orleans has got to be up there as one of the best cities. History, everything that's going on down there. Great time. The new segment on the show that is sweeping the world by storm, like I mentioned, Erin Marvin's Top 5. Yes, EM's Top 5. Let's get into that. This week, I'm going to be ranking my top 5 school subjects. We're going to do elementary, middle school, or high school subjects. I have excluded college courses from this list. Gets a little too complicated when you start figuring in all those subjects. But yeah, let's rank them 5 to 1. Starting at number 5, we have computer class. Computer class is a very fun class where you get to use computers. As a youth, it kind of got me my start in this industry. I mean, look at me right now. I'm looking at one computer. I got another computer here. I got another computer here. Computer. That's, I mean, I guess you could say that computer class really got me up to speed on what the real world was going to be like. Taught me how to type, which was very fun. And of course, after you're done learning how to type, if you're a good student, they will let you play games. Got to play a lot of fun computer games. One of the old programs we used was called KidPix. That was kind of like a graphic design program for children. Another games that I like to play was Snood. There was a game called Sim Ant, a game called Bugdom. Very fun. And also a caveman racing game called Cro-Mag Rally. I'm sure there's other games that I'm leaving off the list, but if you have computer games that you enjoy playing in computer class as a student, please drop those in the comments. Computer class, number 5. Solid class. Number 4, spelling. Spelling was an awesome class. I don't think that spelling was a class that lasted long. In when you're growing up, you only need spelling for a few years and then they just kind of let you go on your own. But I was a very good speller, still am a great speller. I was so good. In fact, it was probably like the 4th grade spelling bee. I was in the final 2, and the kid that I was up against, we were kind of going back and forth, just waiting for somebody to misspell a word. And we were both standing there. We'd been standing for like a half hour, just going back and forth, spelling words. Nobody was getting anything wrong. And I won because the kid that I was up against, he purposely misspelled a word just so he could sit down. He quit, basically. I basically spelled him into submission, and he gave up. But I won the spelling bee in 4th grade. I would have liked to, done it more, what's the word I'm looking for? Heroically, maybe. I wanted him to actually misspell a word and not just do it on purpose. But hey, sometimes spelling is kind of a game of the survival of the fittest. Either you can spell or you can't. And sometimes, you can't even stand on your own 2 feet because you've been spelling for so long. So spelling's always been a strong suit of mine. I'll have to say that. And that's why it comes in at number 4 on my top school subjects. All right, number 3. This one is Phy-Ed, physical education. Now, this Phy-Ed is what we called it in elementary school, because in elementary school, I really did enjoy Phy-Ed. When I got to middle school, they started calling it gym class, and that was also the time when everybody started hitting puberty, and I wasn't, they started passing me, my peers started passing me up as athletes. They were much more athletic than me. And also in gym class, when you hit puberty, you also start to stink a little bit more. So the locker room was just absolutely disgusting. And 7th grade boys don't really know too much about personal hygiene. This was the heyday of Axe body spray. So you'd see a lot of kids taking off their sweaty gym clothes and just spraying them down with Axe and just tossing them in the bottom of their locker where they would sit for the next couple days until the next class, and they would never bring their clothing home to wash it. But Phy-Ed in elementary school, that was great. You had your basketball unit, you had the floor hockey unit, the square dancing unit. There was the scooter unit, which everybody really loved. And it was just a great time. You could get out, play some sports and activities with your friends, and it was a great time. So that's why Phi Ed comes in at number 3. Number 2, art class. Really loved art class. I feel like I'm kind of an artistic person, so I really enjoyed that class. It was kind of one of those classes where, you're allowed to express yourself. There's not really any right or wrong answers. Art's a very fun class, lots of different projects and activities you could do. The thing about art class is you could actually make something that you were proud of taking home. I mean, who takes home a math test or a science test they got an A on and hangs that up on their fridge? The resale value on a straight A on a test is nothing compared to the lifelong value you can get out of an art project that you made when you were in 2nd grade. So art is a timeless thing, and a lot of the other subjects, they're not so timeless. The tests, the this and that, art was just freedom of expression to be yourself. And that is why art class comes in at number 2. All right, number 1. You might be able to guess this one, might not. But number 1 on EM's top 5 school subjects, I have social studies. Social studies, a very interesting course for me. There's a lot of different categories that fall into social studies. You got history, geography, world history, U.S. history. Very good course. I like to learn about the world. I like to learn why the world works, why there's different cultures, different people, how the world came to be the way it is. Social studies teaches you all of that. It's just a wonderful course, and I have always been fascinated with U.S. history. Everybody remembers learning the states and capitals back in the day. I was very fond of that activity. Social studies is a very, very fun course for me. I've always been big on U.S. history, all that stuff. So that is why, that is why social studies comes in at number 1 on EM's top 5 list. Sorry, I'm a little bit disoriented today. I'm trying a new lighting technique, and these lights are shining very brightly in my eyes, so I'm kind of my eyes are starting to hurt. So I apologize for that, but we're going to tough it out here. Let's talk about sports. Congratulations to the Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. Patrick Mahomes, he is him, as they like to say these days. Super Bowl MVP. Honestly, I don't even remember who they played. Oh, the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't like the Eagles around here. Good luck to the Vikings next season. You got the Eagles in the NFC to contend with. But the Super Bowl was great. It was a pretty good game. Rihanna did an amazing job at the halftime show. But, it's kind of just this big corporate spectacle the Super Bowl is. All the commercials kind of sucked. My favorite commercial was, I did like the Pepsi Max commercials, and Jack Harlow had a pretty good Doritos commercial where he was playing the triangle. I thought that was pretty funny and clever. But I will say this about the Super Bowl commercials. Stop wasting your money paying celebrities to be in your commercials, because guess what? Nobody cares. If you're trying to sell your product to a normal American, the least relatable thing you can do is pay a celebrity to be in your commercial. I don't care that you paid what's his name, John Travolta, to be in a Tide commercial or whatever. Nobody wants to see that. That is so unrelatable. That just tells me that you don't have any ideas. You think the appeal to your commercial is doing some funny thing with a celebrity. I don't want to see it. Let's see some creativity. Let's see something clever and funny using normal everyday people that I don't know who it is, because you're not selling anything to me with these celebrities. I don't care. Just had to get that off my chest. It's unrelatable. It's very unrelatable. Stop it with the Super Bowl commercials. They're stale, they're watered down, they're not funny. You spend millions of dollars on this BS to not move the needle at all. And I'm sorry, that's just how I feel, and I just have to get that off my chest. Luckily for football fans, the XFL season is underway. My team in the XFL is the St. Louis Battlehawks. Kaka is law, as they say, down there in St. Louis. So I'm going to be pulling for the Battlehawks. XFL got their start back in 2001. They had one season, and then they came back in 2020, but the COVID-19 pandemic shut them down. But then The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, bought the league, so now he's running the show, and we'll see how it turns out. They got good TV deals, it looks like. So I'm excited for the XFL season. You can find them on TV pretty easily, unlike some sports like the Minnesota Wild and the Twins and the Timberwolves, which I have to basically hack into online just to even see a sports game. So I really haven't been watching any of that because they make it so difficult for me to see, unlike the XFL, which I can just turn on ESPN and see. NASCAR season is underway. One of my new favorite sports, NASCAR. We just had the Great American Race. That's the Daytona 500. Shout out to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for winning. Congratulations to him. NASCAR is a sport that I started following last year. About a year and a half ago, I went to my first NASCAR race, and that's kind of where I fell in love with the sport. I went to a race in Kansas City, had a great time, and then last year I started following NASCAR, and it was good. It was a good season, so I'm excited that NASCAR is back. I really enjoy watching the races. Kind of reminds me of baseball, where it's kind of like a game inside of a game where you kind of need to know what's going on in order to truly appreciate it. When I was growing up, I kind of just thought it was a bunch of guys racing around in a circle, but it is so much more than that. Beautiful sport, NASCAR. Looking forward to the season. WrestleMania is around the corner. I've made it 8 episodes so far without talking about wrestling. One of my favorite pastimes is watching some WWE. And we just had the Royal Rumble, which was won by Cody Rhodes. So he won the slot to face Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. We are building up to that. WrestleMania is going to be April 1st and 2nd. Last year was a pretty exciting WrestleMania. We saw Stone Cold Steve Austin return after almost 20 years away from the ring, and he had a match. That was really cool. You never know what you're going to see. It's just the, what's the name? The granddaddy of them all. That's what they call WrestleMania. So spring is a very exciting time for sports. Baseball, pitchers and catchers reported. Always love to see that. I'm going to be rooting for the Twins this year. I've talked about them on the podcast before. They've got the new uniforms, new logos. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, just a very exciting time for sports right now. What have I been listening to? A lot of country music. Lots and lots of country music. And debated if I wanted to mention this, but I think the reason, Erin Marvin's single, we've been talking about that, but lately, I'll be honest, I've been missing my ex a little bit, nothing crazy, but I think that might have something to do with all the country music I've been listening to. Country music, the theme is, people like to make fun of it. Oh, it's just about trucks and beer and girls and dirt roads. Yeah, it's a lot about that too, but the storytelling and the writing, There's a lot of heartbreak in those songs, a lot of, missing your girl or just being forlorn. So I've been listening to a lot of Riley Green. He's one of my favorite country artists, quickly climbing to the top of my favorites personally. Kind of been listening to a lot of his stuff, a lot of his old stuff, some of his new stuff. Great country artist. I really like his voice. Really like what he sings about and the songs that he makes. He's great. I've also been listening to a lot of Young Dolph. Rest in peace to Young Dolph, passed away a little while ago. He's got a new album out. I believe they call it posthumanness, whatever they call it when somebody dies, but they still put out albums of new music. They've been doing that with Mac Miller and Juice WRLD and some other artists where they, before they die, they recorded a bunch of music. I don't think they were planning on dying, but they did pass away, unfortunately. And then the record label or their family or whoever produces new albums puts those together and puts it out. So the Young Dolph album I've been listening to is called Paper Route Frank. Great album. Can you hear my fridge making ice? Very distracted today. So listening to a lot of Riley Green, just got that heartache in me. But then listening to that Young Dolph, that let's get some money, let's make some moves, let's go get it. What I've been watching, I've been hitting the gym pretty good the last week. I'm taking creatine again. That's a supplement that's supposed to help you build muscle, I believe. So back on the creatine, that'll be interesting to see how that turns out for me. But Athlean X videos. That's a YouTube channel. And they got a series called the 100 Workout Series. So I've been, watching the 100 Workout Series, getting some ideas for some new workouts. And hitting the gym pretty hard, I'll say that. And I'm feeling pretty physically good after 1 week, so I'm going to keep that going and see where it takes me. Shout out to Athlean X and their 100 Workout Series videos. Yeah, this episode I just kind of wanted to touch base with everybody again. Didn't have a whole lot to say, but I think it's good for me, even though I maybe don't have a lot to say. It's just good for me to get into that habit, but getting in front of the microphone, getting some practice setting my cameras up. If you enjoyed the new space that I've hosted this from today, this is the area that we had the Jackie Snacky interview on a few episodes ago. But, I'm working on the image of the podcast, just a little different things that I can work on. I know next week I'm going to do something about these lights because it is really distracting me today. And I'm so sorry. So we're going to fix the lighting next week, even though it looks pretty decent, but it is in my eyes and not great. But I'm going to had to keep rolling with the episode. Otherwise, it just won't get out. What are we looking at here? We are sitting at 28 minutes. All right, we'll wrap her up here soon. One thing I wanted to do this episode before we hit the road, I have a fortune cookie here I got at a restaurant a few days ago, so I thought a fun thing to do would be to open it here on the Erin Marvin Show, and let's all have a nice fortune together. All right, I swear I did not plan this. This was not planned, but there is not a fortune in here, unfortunately. So I guess we're screwed. Have a great week, everybody. Have a great weekend. If you're in Minnesota, please be safe out there. Don't drive anywhere. Don't do anything stupid. Stay home. Shovel your driveway. Shovel the sidewalks in case anybody's out and about trying to get anywhere by foot. Like, comment, subscribe, vibe. You know the drill. Thanks for tuning in to the Erin Marvin Show. If you don't like it, hit the like button twice for me. Leave a comment. Tell me what you don't like. This is the unpodcast. If you got ideas, throw them at me. I'm all ears. Oh, yeah. If you subscribe and you don't have any Erin Marvin stickers, let me know, and I'll send out some Erin Marvin stickers to you. Send me an email, neil@erinmarvin.com. We'll get those stickers out. I had a few people reach out to me so far, so sorry if you didn't get your stickers yet because I didn't mail them. Kind of forgot about that, but they're coming. They will come. I'll get them out. The Erin Marvin stickers. So if you need some stickers, let me know. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys. We will see you next time. I don't know when the next episode is going to be, but I also need to work on some music. I just feel like I have a lot of different things going on and things that require my attention right now that I just need to compartmentalize and just start sitting down and working on some stuff, getting out some good stuff for myself to enjoy, for everybody else to enjoy. Thanks for sticking around with me. This has been the Erin Marvin Show.